The gate agent's voice echoed through the airport at 3:17 a.m. Final boarding call for Flight 442 to Maui. My boarding pass crumpled in my sweaty, tear-damp hands. Back at our suburban house, 40 minutes away, 30-place setting sat untouched on the dining room table I'd spent hours arranging last night. The turkey I should have started cooking an hour ago lay frozen in the fridge, as cold as my heart had felt for 5 long years. My phone buzzed with Hudson's text, "Hope you're cooking, babe. Mom's already asking about timing." I switched it off and boarded the plane, leaving behind more than a Thanksgiving meal. I was escaping a life that had choked me with every helpful suggestion and offhand remark. As the plane climbed into the dark sky, I leaned against the cold window, watching the city lights vanish below. Down there, Vivian would show up at 2 p.m., expecting her flawless feast. Hudson would stand there, baffled, maybe calling me selfish to my face for once, not just to his mom. But I wouldn't see their stunned faces. I wouldn't apologize. For the first time in 5 years, I was gone. That thought scared me, and set me free. 3 days earlier, Vivian's heels clicked across our hardwood floor like a judge's gavel, sharp and final. She stormed into my kitchen like she owned it, which Hudson always hinted she did since they'd helped with our house deposit. "Clara, darling," she said in that fake sweet tone that meant another task disguised as a favor, "we need to talk Thanksgiving plans." I was scrubbing dishes from the dinner I'd just served, Hudson's favorite pot roast, cooked exactly how his mom taught me in our first year of marriage. My hands stung from the hot water, but I'd stopped wearing rubber gloves after Vivian called them unprofessional. "Sure," I said, forcing a smile. "How can I help?" Hudson glanced up from his phone, sharing a quick look with his mom that shut me out, like I was a kid not trusted with grown-up talk. Vivian pulled a folded paper from her fancy purse with such drama my stomach knotted. She set it on the counter like it was a legal document. "The guest list for Thursday," she declared. "I've added a few more this year. Cousin Cynthia's bringing her new boyfriend, Uncle Raymond's family is coming, and the Sanders from the country club, too." I wiped my hands and opened the paper. The names just kept going. I counted twice, hoping I'd messed up. 30 people, I whispered. 32, actually, Vivian corrected. Little Timmy Sanders is half a person at 6 years old, but planned for 30 full servings. He's a growing boy. Her laugh grated like shattering glass. "It's a lot, but you're so good at hosting. Everyone loves your cooking." Hudson looked up, nodding. "You've got this, babe. You always do." I stared at the list, my vision blurring as I tried to grasp what they expected. We'd hosted maybe 15 people before, and that had meant 2 days of prep, no sleep, and running between kitchen and dining room while everyone else lounged. "When did you invite all these people?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Weeks ago," Vivian said, brushing it off. "Don't worry about timing, dear. You always manage." "But I haven't shopped for 30 people. I haven't planned a menu." "Oh, I handled that." Vivian handed me another paper, her neat handwriting detailing an elaborate menu. "I've upgraded things this year. The Sanders expect a certain standard." The list made my head spin: turkey with 3 stuffings, ham with pineapple glaze, 7 sides, for desserts, including homemade pumpkin pie crust because store-bought won't do. Homemade cranberry sauce, fresh rolls. "Vivian, this is too much for one person." She waved me off like I'd mentioned a minor annoyance. "Nonsense. You're capable. Plus, Hudson will help." I looked at my husband, hoping he'd see how impossible this was. But he was back on his phone. "I'll help," he mumbled, eyes down. "I can carve the turkey and open wine bottles." Carve the turkey. Open wine bottles. That was his help for a meal needing 16 hours of cooking. "What time should I start?" I asked, dreading the answer. Vivian glanced at her pricey watch. "Dinner's at 2 p.m. sharp. The Sanders like it early. Start at 4 a.m. to be safe." Maybe 3:30 for perfection. 4 a.m.? I echoed. Start cooking at 4 a.m.? Vivian nodded sharply, thrusting the guest list at me. Make sure it's perfect this time. Hudson glanced up, echoing her. Yeah, make it perfect. Last year's stuffing was a bit dry. I juggled 6 dishes while making that stuffing as he lounged watching football. Everyone else loved it. Vivian even asked for it again this year. Of course, I said, my voice flat. I'll make it perfect. Holding that list of 32 names and a menu fit for a restaurant kitchen, a chill settled in my gut. It wasn't just the impossible task. It was how they handed it to me, like my time, effort, and sanity were theirs to use without a thought. That night, after Vivian left and Hudson slept, I sat at the kitchen table with a calculator, wrestling with logistics. The turkey needed to be in the oven by 6 a.m. for a 2 p.m. dinner, but other dishes required the oven too. The math didn't add up. The timeline was impossible. I stared at the guest list, really seeing it. 32 names, none mine. I was cooking for 32 people, yet I wasn't a guest at my own dinner. Then I noticed Hudson's cousin Ruby wasn't listed. Ruby, who'd joined us for years. Ruby, recently divorced and struggling. I grabbed my phone and called her. Clara, it's late. Everything okay? She asked. Are you coming to Thanksgiving? I said. A long pause. Vivian called last week. She said with me being single and struggling, I'd be better off at a smaller gathering, somewhere more appropriate. My grip tightened. She uninvited you? Not exactly, but yeah, that's the gist. Ruby had been family for 8 years. But when her life got messy, when she needed support instead of offering entertainment, Vivian cut her out. After hanging up, I sat in the dark kitchen, tears blurring the list. These weren't just tears of frustration over the impossible task. They were tears of clarity. I saw myself in Ruby, useful until I wasn't, one bad Thanksgiving from being erased from my own life. Tuesday morning, the grocery store at 6 a.m. was a harsh glow of fluorescent lights and empty aisles. I'd been there since it opened, my cart overflowing with ingredients for a meal that felt more impossible with every item. 3 turkeys, 2 hams, pounds of vegetables to prep and cook. The checkout total made my hands shake as I swiped our card, knowing Hudson would later grumble about the cost. Mrs. Suzanne, my neighbor, stood behind me with just coffee and muffins. Big dinner? She asked, eyeing my cart with worry. Thanksgiving for 32, I said, trying to sound unfazed. Her eyes widened. 32? Alone? Hudson will help, I said, the words tasting like a lie. She studied me, pity in her gaze. Honey, that's not help. That's watching you drown from the shore. Her words haunted me as I started prep work at home. Ingredients covered every counter, turning our kitchen into a factory. By noon, after 6 hours of non-stop work, I'd barely made progress. My back hurt, my feet ached, and I'd eaten only a few crackers. Hudson strolled in, still in pajamas, coffee mug in hand. Wow, you're going all out, he said, scanning the mess. Smells great already. I was wrist-deep in stuffing, hands sticky with breadcrumbs and egg. Can you help stuff the turkey? I can't do it alone. He checked his watch. I promised the guys a quick golf game. Holiday tradition. I'll be back to help with the heavy stuff tomorrow. I stared. Golf? Today? Just 9 holes, maybe 18 if we're quick. He headed for the door. You've got this under control. You're like a machine with this stuff. A machine. The word stung. Machines don't tire. They don't need help. They don't feel dismissed. He was gone before I could speak, leaving me with food for 32 and the sinking truth, I was invisible in my own home. The afternoon blurred by as I chopped, seasoned, and pre-cooked what I could. Every kitchen surface was buried under half-finished dishes. The fridge was so full I played Tetris to fit containers in. At 5 p.m., Vivian called. "Just checking on your progress, dear. How's it going?" I scanned the chaos of my kitchen, my raw, bleeding hands from endless washing, the pile of dirty dishes. "Fine," I said, voice tight. "It's fine." "Great." "Oh, I forgot to mention, the Sanders boy has a severe nut allergy. No nuts in any dishes, and watch for cross-contamination. It's life-threatening." A nut allergy, revealed now, the day before, after I'd already made 3 dishes with almonds or pecans. Which dishes should I? You'll figure it out. You're great with details. See you tomorrow. She hung up before I could ask the questions flooding my mind. I stood in my wrecked kitchen, 12 hours of work surrounding me, and felt something crack inside. Not break, not yet, but a crack, like a dam starting to give under years of pressure. That night, Hudson came home reeking of beer and golf course grass, grinning from his carefree day while I'd been stuck in prep hell. "How's the cooking going, babe? Ready for tomorrow's big show?" I sat at the kitchen table, finally resting after a dawn-to-dusk grind. My body ached, I hadn't eaten a real meal all day. "There's a menu problem," I said quietly. 3 dishes have nuts, and the Sanders kid is allergic. He shrugged. "Just make new versions of them. No big deal." No big deal. 3 new dishes, new ingredients, more time I didn't have. "Hudson, I need help. Real help. Not just carving the turkey. I need you to cook." He looked shocked. "But you're way better at cooking. Mom wants your green bean casserole, your stuffing. People expect your food." "Then maybe they can expect your food too," I snapped, exhaustion shattering my usual calm. My sharp tone startled him. In 5 years, I'd never spoken to him like that. "Okay, you're stressed. I'll help tomorrow, I swear. But I'm beat from golf, and I've got an early meeting to prep for." "What meeting?" "Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Singapore office call. Time zone thing. Just an hour, maybe 2. I'll be done before guests arrive." Another surprise, another way I'd be alone for the morning rush. I stared at my husband and saw a stranger. When did he start ignoring my exhaustion? When did my struggles become invisible? "I'm going to bed," I said. "Good call. Rest up. Big day tomorrow." In bed, I stared at the ceiling, doing mental math. If I woke at 3:30 a.m., I could start the turkeys by 4 a.m. That left 10 hours for 7 sides, fresh rolls, for desserts, and nut-free replacements for 3 dishes. 10 hours for a 20-hour job. The numbers didn't add up. The timeline was impossible. Yet they expected me to make it work because I always did. Then it hit me, I'd trained them to expect this. Every impossible dinner I'd pulled off, every of course to absurd requests, every apology for things not my fault, I'd taught them my limits didn't matter. I'd made myself vital yet invisible. I set my alarm for 3:30 a.m. and shut my eyes, but sleep felt as impossible as the task ahead. Wednesday, 2:47 a.m. I woke before my alarm, shaken from a dream of running through an endless kitchen as faceless voices barked orders. The house was dark, silent except for Hudson's steady breathing. Lying there, a wild thought struck: what if I didn't get up? What if I ignored the alarm? What if 32 people arrived to an empty table and had to fend for themselves? The idea felt so wild, so unlike me, it almost made me laugh. I pictured Vivian's face, expecting perfection but finding chaos. I saw Hudson, baffled, realizing I wouldn't swoop in to save the day. I imagined 32 people, with no backup plans or contributions, staring at an empty table. For the first time in years, a family gathering didn't fill me with dread. I felt curious. I slid out of bed, careful not to wake Hudson, and tiptoed to the kitchen. In the pre-dawn darkness, surrounded by yesterday's prep mess, I let myself consider the impossible. What if I just left? Not forever, just for now. Got in my car and went somewhere else. Let them handle one meal without me. The thought was scary and thrilling. I brewed coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring at Vivian's guest list from 2 days ago. 32 names, all expecting me to sacrifice sleep, health, and sanity for a flawless meal, offering only complaints if it wasn't perfect. On a whim, I opened a travel site to see my options. The first listing stopped my breath: last-minute Thanksgiving escape to Hawaii. Limited seats. Leaves early Thursday, returns Sunday. I'd always dreamed of Hawaii, but Hudson dismissed it as just beaches and tourist traps. He preferred golf resorts and networking spots. "What's there to do all day?" he'd say. I clicked the listing before I could hesitate. The flight left at 4:15 a.m., right when I'd be starting the turkey. The cost was steep, more than Hudson would ever okay for a spur-of-the-moment trip. But it was our money too. Our joint account had poured into just as much, even if he earned more and acted like he controlled it. I stared at the select flight button, my finger trembling. What kind of person ditches 32 people on Thanksgiving? But a quieter, fiercer voice asked, what kind of person expects one woman to feed 32 with no help? I thought of Ruby, uninvited because her divorce made her inconvenient. Of Hudson brushing off my pleas for help like they were absurd. Of Vivian dropping a life-threatening allergy on me last minute, assuming I'd fix it overnight. I thought of who I was before I became the yes woman, always making it work, always sorry for not being perfect. Before I could back out, I clicked select flight. The passenger info screen appeared. I typed my name, my birth date, my details, just mine. A party of one. Seeing Clara Foster's alone on that form felt powerful, not Hudson's wife, not Vivian's daughter-in-law, just me. I entered our card details and hit book now before I could overthink it. The confirmation email pinged instantly, flight 442 to Maui, 4:15 a.m., gate B12. Check-in 2 hours early. I'd need to leave for the airport by 1:30 a.m. In 10 hours, I'd be pulling a turkey from the oven. Instead, I'd be over the Pacific, chasing a sunrise at 30,000 feet. The weight of what I'd done hit me hard. I was really doing this, vanishing on Thanksgiving, leaving them to sort out their own meal. I braced for guilt, panic, or the urge to cancel and dive back into prep. But for the first time in years, I felt something else: excitement. I moved through the house like a shadow, packing a small suitcase with summer clothes I hadn't touched in months, swimsuits tucked away, sundresses Hudson called too casual for our usual trips. As I packed, I thought of past Thanksgivings, endless prep hours, stress, exhaustion, eating my cold dinner after serving everyone else, Vivian getting praise for her perfect gatherings while I faded into the kitchen background. I was folding a yellow sundress when Hudson's phone rang at 3 a.m. Who calls at that hour unless it's urgent? I leaned closer to hear. "Hudson, it's your mother," Vivian's voice crackled, tense. "I can't sleep. I'm worried about tomorrow." "Mom, what's wrong? Everything okay?" Hudson mumbled. "I keep thinking about the Sanders boy's allergy. What if Clara messes up the cross-contamination? What if something happens to that kid in our house? The liability." My fists clenched. She was up at 3 a.m., not worried about the insane task she'd dumped on me, but about my competence. "She'll handle it, Mom," Hudson said. "Clara's great at this stuff." But what if she's not careful? 32 people is a lot, even for someone like Clara. Now she admitted it was a lot, too late, after I'd spent 2 days in prep hell. "If you were so worried, why invite so many?" Hudson snapped, annoyed more at being woken than at her impossible demands. "Well, I could uninvite a few at 3 a.m., Vivian said. "Just let Clara handle it. She's probably cooking already." I glanced at the kitchen, where I should be starting the 12-hour grind. Instead, I zipped my suitcase and crept downstairs. I left a note by Vivian's guest list. Hudson, something came up. I had to leave town. Handle Thanksgiving dinner. Groceries are in the fridge. Clara. No apology. No explanation. No tips to save the meal. For once, I laid out the facts and let them deal. As I tossed my suitcase in the car, I caught my reflection in the rearview. I looked different, not just exhausted. That was old news. I looked resolute. The drive to the airport felt dreamlike, roads barren save for night owls and shift workers. I'd driven these paths 1,000 times, but never this early, never for this escape, never breaking free. Checking in at the airport felt final, like no turning back. The gate agent, my age with warm eyes, scanned my ticket. Cool Thanksgiving escape. Ditching family drama? I nearly laughed at her spot-on guess. Yeah, something like that. Wise move. I'm stuck working, but I'd trade this for Hawaii over my mother-in-law's casserole critiques any day. Waiting to board, I switched my phone to airplane mode, ignoring messages. I didn't need Hudson's baffled texts or Vivian's freakout over the mess. The speakers crackled, boarding flight 442 to Maui. Welcome aboard. Walking the jetway, it hit me, first time in 5 years heading somewhere without Hudson's okay or Vivian's stamp. A place I picked, just for me. The flight attendant's smile seemed to spot it, the glow of fresh freedom on my face. In my window seat, I watched the crew ready us for takeoff, mind on home. Hudson would wake soon to an empty kitchen and a game-changing note. 32 guests would show in 10 hours, hungry for a feast no one would make. For the first time as an adult, their mess wasn't mine to clean. The plane rolled back as dawn peaked. We soared up, and I pressed to the window, my old life shrinking to specks under clouds. Thursday, 7:23 a.m. Hudson's view. Hudson Foster stirred to his alarm, blissfully clueless his life was crumbling. He rolled over, figuring my bed empty as always on Thanksgiving. I'd be up pre-dawn, kitchen wizardry underway. But the house felt off, too still. By 7 a.m., turkey scents should waft everywhere, my kitchen bustle his cozy wake-up tune. Nothing. He shuffled down in boxers, braced for my frazzled but fierce setup, the efficiency that first hooked him. Kitchen bare, no me, no action. Yesterday's prep sat untouched. No oven turkey, no simmering pots, no Thanksgiving kickoff. By Mom's guest list on the counter, a folded note in my script. Unfolding it, his mind rebelled. Hudson, something came up. I had to leave town. Handle Thanksgiving dinner. Groceries in the fridge. Clara. He read it thrice before it sank in. I was gone. Me, who never skipped family duty, never botched a meal, never dumped home stuff on him. First thought, death in the family, some crisis yanking me away. He dialed me. Voicemail. Clara, found your note. What happened? Who's hurt? Call now. Guests in 6 hours, I need your ETA. Hung up, dialed again. Voicemail. Panic hit, not dinner scale yet, but wife scale. I always picked up, always shared my whereabouts. He called my sister Carmen. Hudson, early. All good? She yawned. Is Clara there? Family crisis? What? No, we're fine. Why'd she be here? Isn't she slaving on your Thanksgiving bash? Her tone on your sharpened, like she'd long side-eyed our setup. She noted she left town. Thought maybe. She bailed? Carmen's sleepiness flipped to glee. Way to go, Clara. Way to go? Carmen, 30 guests in 6 hours, she vanished. 30? Hudson, nuts? One woman solo for 30? Her scorn bit. She's ace at it. Loves hosting. Loves small friend dinners, not army feeding your clan who treat her like staff. Hudson hung up, rattled by Carmen's blame shift. Why pin this on him? Redialed me. Voicemail. 8:15 a.m., Singapore call in 45, promo on the line. But 32 dinner hounds in under 6. Fridge open, raw turkeys glared. He'd never turkey-ed, never beyond eggs. Phone buzzed. Mom. Morning, dear. Prep on track? Clara nailing the schedule? Mom, crisis. What? Burnt something? Told you, cater for this crowd. Clara's gone. Dead air. Gone where? Dunno. Note says emergency exit. No phone pickup. Impossible. She'd never ditch a party, not today. Mix-up? He eyed the note, willing change. No mix-up. She's out, 32 inbound. Silence dragged, line dead? Mom, disaster, he pressed. Her tone iced over. Total disaster. What wife ghosts family on Thanksgiving? Her instant clarabash sparked his defense, surprising him. Maybe real emergency. Something she couldn't. What crisis ghosts 32 guests sans word? What stops a call to explain? No comeback. Fix it now, Vivian commanded, crisis mode on. Hit every restaurant. Emergency feast for 32? Hudson phone spots, caterers, hotels next hour. Same script, chuckles, then booked months out. Sir, Hilton boss said, 9 a.m. Thanksgiving. No slots, and 5 hours? Can't feed 32. By 10, options zeroed. Singapore call skipped, client rift likely, but dinner trumped. Redialed mom. Restaurant luck, she probed. Nada. All full. Now what? Cook ourselves, duh. Turkeys eyed him. Mom, turkey blind here. Whole menu clueless. Google it. YouTube's free. How tough? Vivian burst in, sleeves hitched, face storm dark, scouting a deserted war zone. Worse than feared, she barked. Turkey's 4 hours late to oven. No way on time. Hudson, YouTube turkey deep in panic scroll, looked up hopeful. Speed cook? Crank heat? Hudson, love, 20-pounder defies rush. Physics ignores wife tantrums. They toiled silent next hour, Vivian snapping orders as Hudson bundled my easy tasks. Stuffing bits mocked like failed chem lab. Casserole recipe? Gibberish. Stand mixer? Vivian rummaged. Dunno. Clara ran kitchen. Well, Clara's AWOL, isn't she? Noon, phone lit with king calls on ETA's diets. Chats soured quick. Hudson, Uncle Raymond. Bring a dish? Vivian said covered, but wife extra stuff just in case. Yeah, bring stuffing, anything backup. Backup? Trouble? He eyed mom wrestling turkey into pan, muttering curses. Just haul it all. By 12:30, family grapevine buzzed crisis. Phone nonstop, help offers, probes, alt plan queries. Kitchen pandemonium. Vivian ovened one bird, but evening done clear. Sides ignored. My sleek schedule? Shattered to frenzy and hacks. This is mortifying, I said, flour dusting my hair, my voice heavy with defeat. The Sanders will think we're total failures. Maybe we should just cancel, Hudson mumbled, barely audible. Cancel? It's 1 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. You know what people will say if we bail now. But what people thought was the least of my worries. The doorbell chimed like a funeral bell. I opened the door to find cousin Cynthia and her new boyfriend, holding a bottle of wine, their smiles expectant. "Something smells odd," Cynthia said, sniffing the air, puzzled. Instead of a warm Thanksgiving aroma, the house reeked of raw onions and my own nervous sweat. "We're a bit behind," I said, forcing a cheerful tone that sounded fake even to me. Cars rolled into the driveway, Uncle Raymond with backup dishes, the Sanders with their 6-year-old son, expecting the fancy dinner I'd promised. Cousin after cousin, friend after friend, arrived to find me at the door, looking like I was hosting a wake. "Where's Clara?" Aunt Margaret asked, searching for the hostess who always greeted everyone with warmth and a perfect meal. "She had to step out. Emergency." The living room filled with confused relatives. Small talk fizzled as people sensed something was deeply wrong. The dining table, set with Clara's meticulous place settings from 2 days ago, waited for a feast that didn't exist. I stepped out of the kitchen, hair a mess, clothes stained, my usual calm shattered, revealing near panic. "Please, everyone, bear with us," I said. "We've hit some snags with the meal." Mr. Sanders, used to country club perfection, glanced at his watch. Dinner was supposed to be at 2 p.m. "It's almost time." "Yes, well, there's been a hiccup." "What kind of hiccup?" Cousin Julie snapped, clearly annoyed after her 3-hour drive. Hudson and I exchanged a look. Neither of us wanted to admit that Clara, the one we all relied on, was gone. "Clara had to leave town suddenly," Hudson said. "Family emergency." Silence fell as 32 people absorbed this. "She left today?" Ruby's sister, who made the guest list, asked. "What kind of emergency hits at 4 a.m. on Thanksgiving?" Hudson had no answer. Uncle Raymond coughed. "So, what's the plan for dinner?" All eyes turned to us. 32 people with no backup plans, no real food contributions, all expecting the meal we promised. "We're figuring it out," I said weakly. Little Timmy Sanders, with his nut allergy, tugged his mom's dress. "Mommy, I'm hungry." "When's dinner?" His question broke the quiet. Suddenly, everyone spoke at once. "Maybe we order pizza?" "Pizza places are closed on Thanksgiving." "What about Chinese?" "With a kid who has allergies?" "This is ridiculous." We should have been warned. "Where did Clara go?" "How long have you known she was gone?" I felt trapped, 32 pairs of eyes demanding answers I didn't have. Then my phone buzzed with a text from Clara. The room seemed to feel my reaction as I opened it. Silence fell, everyone waiting for news from my missing wife. The text was a photo, Clara in a yellow sundress I'd never seen, at a beachside restaurant, tropical drink in hand. Her hair flowed in the ocean breeze, her face glowing with peace. Below, a message, "Thanksgiving dinner in paradise. Tell Vivian the turkey is her problem now." I stared, my mind reeling. My dependable, predictable wife was in Hawaii. No emergency. No rush to return. She'd planned this. She'd chosen this. She'd left 32 people on Thanksgiving, and she looked happier than ever. "Hudson," my mom's voice cut through. "What does she say?" I looked at 32 expectant faces, my mom, who'd set up this chaos, relatives who never helped with Clara's massive feasts, the Sanders, already judging us. All waiting for me to fix what Clara had broken by refusing to break herself. "She says," my voice cracked, "the turkey is our problem now." I sat at an open-air restaurant on Waikiki Beach, my yellow sundress fluttering in the trade winds, the Pacific sparkling under the sun. It was 2 p.m. here, 7 p.m. back home. Right now, 32 people should be enjoying a flawless Thanksgiving feast at my dining table. Instead, I was savoring coconut shrimp, watching sea turtles glide in clear water. My phone buzzed nonstop since I turned it on, 17 missed calls from Hudson, 8 from Vivian, texts from relatives who hadn't contacted me in months, suddenly concerned. I scrolled through them, detached, like reading someone else's story. Hudson, where are you? This isn't funny. Hudson, call me now. We need to talk. Hudson, people are asking questions I can't answer. Vivian, Clara, you've made your point. Come home and fix this. Vivian, this is selfish. You're embarrassing us all. Cousin Cynthia, Hudson said family emergency. You okay? Aunt Margaret, honey, we're worried. Please call. I nearly laughed. Worried now, after 5 years of watching me exhaust myself for them. I sipped my Mai Tai, opened my camera, and snapped a selfie with the orange-pink sunset behind me. My smile was real. I sent it to Hudson with the message I'd crafted for hours: Thanksgiving dinner in paradise. Tell Vivian the turkey is her problem now. His reply came instantly. My phone rang. I let it go to voicemail, turned it off, and ordered another Mai Tai. By 8 p.m., the Thanksgiving disaster was family legend. Half the relatives had left to hunt for open restaurants. The rest crowded the kitchen, trying to cobble together a meal from the mess Hudson and I had made. Uncle Raymond took charge of the turkeys, suggesting we cut them up to cook faster. Cousin Julie tackled mashed potatoes, glued to YouTube tutorials. The Sanders left, muttering about food safety and Timmy's allergies. Hudson sat at the kitchen table, staring at Clara's text, each glance making it more surreal. She wasn't coming back. No kidnapping, no hospital, no emergency. She'd chosen to leave us, and she was loving it. This is what happens when you spoil someone, I said, wrestling with the green bean casserole. Give them too much freedom, and they ditch their duties. But my words felt hollow. The chaos showed how impossible Clara's task had been. 6 adults took 4 hours just to get turkeys in the oven and start 3 sides. What Clara did alone yearly was nothing short of a miracle. Maybe we should have helped her more, Uncle Raymond said softly, fumbling with turkey seasoning. Helped? My voice was sharp. She never asked. She always wanted to do it all herself. Hudson looked up from his phone. She asked me for help 2 days ago. I said I was too tired from golf. The kitchen went quiet, save for boiling water and the oven timer. She asked on Tuesday, Hudson said, his voice steadying. She said she needed real help, not just carving. I told her she was better at cooking. I saw it clearly now: Clara's exhausted face, raw hands from prep, her desperate plea, and Hudson's brush-off because helping was inconvenient. She's been asking for years, Carmen's voice came from the doorway. I turned to see my sister-in-law, holding food, her face tight with anger. Carmen, why are you here? I brought sweet potato casserole because I knew you'd need real food, Carmen said, slamming the container on the counter. And I'm here to say what I should have said years ago. She scanned the kitchen, where relatives had paused their clumsy cooking attempts to listen. Clara didn't abandon you, she snapped. You abandoned her. For 5 years, you've let her kill herself making you comfortable, and not one of you thought, maybe one person shouldn't have to feed 32 people alone. Now hold on, I started, but Carmen cut me off. No, you hold on. Do you know what Clara's Thanksgiving looked like? 3 weeks planning the menu. 2 days shopping. Up at 3:30 a.m. to cook, not sitting until 9 p.m. after dishes, 17 hours straight while you all watched football and griped about dry stuffing. A cold knot formed in my gut. She never said it was that hard, I mumbled. Of course not. Every time she hinted she was drowning, you said she was so good at it, trapping her with her own skill. The kitchen went quiet, even the oven timer seemed to hush. And when she finally broke and left, your first thought wasn't, is my wife okay, or why was she so miserable she had to escape? It was, who's cooking the turkey? I glanced at Clara's text again. Her smile in the photo was brighter than I'd seen in years, free of the polite mask she wore for my family. When had I last made her smile like that? She's in Hawaii, I said softly. Carmen nodded. Good for her. She's always dreamed of Hawaii. She never told me. She told you plenty, Hudson. You just didn't hear. I woke to waves crashing and a warm Hawaiian breeze drifting through my balcony doors. For once, I savored waking naturally, no alarm, no obligations. It was 9:30 a.m. Back home, I'd be wrestling leftover turkey, running the dishwasher for the fourth time, planning meals to stretch Thanksgiving for days. Instead, I'd order room service and hit the beach. My phone, switched on, was flooded with messages, not just from Hudson and Vivian, but from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, friends who'd caught wind of the Thanksgiving fiasco, all with opinions on my choice to put myself first. Some surprised me with support. Carmen, I'm so proud of you. Their faces are priceless. Ruby, heard what you did. Wish I'd had your guts when Vivian uninvited me. Maya, Carmen told me about your Hawaii escape. Soak it up. But others stung. Vivian, hope you're happy. You ruined Thanksgiving for 32 people and humiliated your husband. Dennis, real mature, Clara. Destroying a family tradition over a tantrum. Some cousins I'd slaved for called me selfish. It hurt, but less than I'd feared. For every harsh text, another understood why I left. My phone rang. Hudson again. I answered. Clara, his voice was raw, sleepless. Are you okay? Safe? I'm fine, Hudson. I'm in Hawaii. Hawaii? What are you doing there? Taking a vacation. Something I've wanted for years. But you can't just vanish and ditch Thanksgiving. People were counting on you. I gazed at the ocean, dolphins dancing in the waves. They were counting on me to do the impossible alone. I'm done with that. It's not impossible. You've done it before. I've nearly broken myself doing it. There's a difference. Silence. You've made your point. Come home, and we'll talk about help next year. Help? I snapped, like it was a favor, not basic respect. What kind, Hudson? Maybe we hire someone to serve, so you don't run around. And cooking? You're better at that than anyone. That was the problem with our marriage. Hudson thought my skill meant I should bear impossible loads, not that the loads were unfair. Do you know how many hours I spent on yesterday's dinner? I don't know. A lot. 37 hours over 3 days. I counted on the plane. Silence. How many hours did you help? That's not fair. I was going to serve and clean. How many, Hudson? More silence. Maybe an hour. Carving and opening wine. So, 36 hours for me, 1 for you. But you love cooking. You're great at it. I shut my eyes, searching for words to make the obvious clear. I do love cooking for my family, making special holiday meals. But I don't love being solely responsible for feeding 32 people while everyone else watches football and judges my work. So what do you want? I can't become a chef overnight. I want you to see that your mother's expectations were insane. I want you to know saying you're good at it isn't appreciation. I'm a person with limits, not a dinner-making machine. Another silence. Are you coming home? I glanced at my room, my suitcase full of clothes Hudson never liked, the paradise outside. Someday. Good. We can. Things will change, Hudson. I'm done being the only one responsible for your family's comfort. I'm done apologizing for not being perfect. And I'm done pretending yesterday was my fault, not the result of years of being taken for granted. I heard him breathe, grappling with my words. So, what does that mean? Next year, if your mom wants 32 people for Thanksgiving, she can cook, hire a caterer, or accept simpler gatherings. She can't expect me to sacrifice my health for her social status. She'll hate that. That's her problem now. Clara, you're being unreasonable. Family comes first. That's marriage. Something broke inside me, sharp and final. Whose family, Hudson? Yours has shown I'm not really part of it. I'm the help, making things nice, never considered in decisions. That's not true. Really? Did your mom ask if I could handle cooking for 32? Did she think about my time when she upgraded the menu? Or about the nut allergy she mentioned last minute? She probably assumed. She assumed I'd manage because I always do, just like you did. Neither of you asked if it was fair. Voices hummed in the background, his family, likely dissecting the Thanksgiving disaster. I have to go, Hudson said. But we'll finish this when you're home. Yes, we will. I hung up and sat on my balcony, staring at the ocean, replaying my talk with Hudson. He still didn't get it, thought I was ungrateful, not crushed by years of my needs being ignored. For the first time, I'd set clear boundaries without apologizing. Saying no to an unfair burden felt scary but freeing. I ordered a tropical fruit plate and spent the day on the beach with a novel, something I hadn't done in ages. Every few hours, I posted photos online, captioning them, choosing myself or paradise is freedom. I knew Hudson's family was dissecting every post, probably calling me selfish or unhinged. I didn't care. For 3 days, I'd embrace the selfishness they accused me of. I'd focus on my comfort, my joy. It would be my best vacation ever. The flight home was bumpy, mirroring my uneasy return to reality. As we broke through storm clouds, my phone buzzed with ignored messages. Hudson, when's your flight land? I'll get you. Carmen, how is paradise? Ready to set boundaries? Vivian, we need a family meeting about your stunt. Never again. Vivian's message made me laugh, startling the businessmen beside me. A family meeting about my behavior, like I was a rebellious teen, not a woman refusing to be used. The airport was packed with weary post-holiday travelers. Catching my reflection in a shop window, I noticed I stood taller, my face relaxed in a way it hadn't been in years. Hudson waited at baggage claim, looking worn out, clothes rumpled, dark circles aging his 34-year-old face. Hi, he said as I approached. Hi. We stood, 5 years married, suddenly strangers. How was the trip? He asked. Exactly what I needed. He waited for more, but I stayed quiet. Old Clara would have apologized, reassured him everything was fine. New Clara grabbed her suitcase and headed to the parking garage. The drive home was quiet, Hudson's small talk met with my short replies. I wasn't being cold, I was done carrying his emotional weight. As we reached our driveway, he asked, "What now?" I looked at our house, where I'd shrunk myself for years to please others, feeling both familiar and distant. Now, we see if our marriage can handle me having boundaries. I was barely unpacked when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Vivian, poised for a fight. I could have ignored her, but that would just postpone the clash. Vivian, I said, opening the door. Nice to see you. She swept inside, heels clicking with authority, and sat on the couch like a queen. We need to talk, she declared. I figured. What you did Thursday was outrageous. Do you know how embarrassing it was to explain your absence to 32 people? I sat in my favorite chair, the one Hudson called too formal. That must have been tough, I said evenly. My calm tone through her. Tough? It was a disaster, Clara. The Sanders are telling the country club we can't host a decent dinner. Cynthia's boyfriend thinks we're a mess. Raymond spent 4 hours wrestling turkeys he didn't know how to cook. That sounds rough for everyone. Are you mocking me? No. I'm sorry everyone had a stressful Thanksgiving. It must have been hard to handle tasks they'd never done before. Her eyes narrowed. Tasks they never did because you insisted on doing everything. There it was, the rewritten history. Insisted? I asked for help dozens of times. I asked Hudson to cook. I suggested potlucks. I said 32 people was too much for one person. I don't remember that. Of course not. Whenever I said it was too much, you called me a great hostess, said no one could do it better. She paused, maybe seeing the truth. Even so, ditching 32 people without warning isn't how adults act. Adults communicate clearly, not throw tantrums. You're right, I said, surprising her. Adults communicate clearly, and that's what I'm doing now. What does that mean? I'm saying I won't cook Thanksgiving for 32 people again. I won't handle family gatherings over 8 alone. And I won't be treated like hired help who should be grateful to serve. Her composure faltered. You ungrateful. Careful, I cut in, voice calm but sharp, stopping her. You're about to say something that'll ruin our relationship. We locked eyes, and for the first time in 5 years, I didn't look away. Here's the deal, I said. If you want big family gatherings, cook, hire a caterer, or make it a potluck. You can't dump the work on me and take credit for the hospitality. Hudson won't stand for this. Then Hudson and I have decisions to make about our marriage. You'd divorce over Thanksgiving? I'd divorce over being treated like my work doesn't matter, my time isn't valuable, and my well-being ranks below everyone's convenience. Thanksgiving was just the clearest sign of a bigger issue. Vivian stood, gripping her purse. This isn't over, Clara. You're right. It's just starting. I'm standing up for myself, and you'll have to decide how to handle that. After Vivian left, I sat in my chair, replaying our talk. Part of me felt bad for being so blunt. Old Clara would have been planning how to smooth things over, apologize for being harsh, find a compromise to keep everyone happy. But new Clara, forged on a Hawaiian beach, knew this was 5 years overdue. That night, Hudson came home to me cooking dinner, just for us, simple grilled chicken and vegetables, no show to impress. Smells good, he said, kissing my cheek out of habit. Thanks. How was your day? Rough. People are still talking about Thursday. My boss heard and joked about my wife jumping ship. Embarrassing. I set down my spatula and faced him. Hudson, I need to ask something, and I want you to think before answering. My tone made him focus, maybe for the first time in years. Okay. Do you think Thursday was my fault? He started to answer, then stopped. It was complicated. That's not what I asked. Do you think I'm to blame for 32 people not having Thanksgiving dinner? You're the one who left. That's still not what I asked. Hudson went quiet, really thinking about my question instead of tossing out a quick answer. I guess. I think you could have done things differently. How should I have done it? I asked. You could have told me you were overwhelmed. We could have worked it out together. I turned back to the stove, more sad than mad. Hudson, I did tell you. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I said I needed real help. You said you were tired from golf. I meant I'd help during dinner, carving turkey, opening wine. 1 hour of help for a meal that took me 37 hours to prepare. I felt him grappling with that, maybe seeing the imbalance for the first time. I didn't know it was that much work. Because in 5 years, you never asked how much time I put into your family's dinners. You thought it was easy because I made it look that way. I shut off the burner and faced him. Hudson, do you see me as your partner, or as someone who's here to make your life comfortable? That's not fair. You're my partner. Then why don't you know what I do to keep our life running? Why don't you know my struggles or what I need help with? He started to speak, then stopped, realizing he had no good answer. I thought you loved hosting. I love parts of it. I love cooking for people I care about, creating special moments. But I hate being taken for granted. I hate being handed impossible tasks and judged when they're not perfect. So, what do you want from me? It was the first time he'd ever asked me that straight up. I want you to see me. To notice when I'm struggling and help without me begging. To value my time as much as yours. And to stand up to your mom when she treats me like staff, not family. Stand up to her? His voice wavered. She uninvited Ruby because her divorce was inconvenient. She gave me a job fit for a restaurant kitchen and called it reasonable. She dropped a life-threatening allergy on me last minute. And when I broke, she called me ungrateful. Hudson stayed silent a long time. She came by today, I said. Said my actions were unacceptable, that I owe everyone an apology for ruining Thanksgiving. What did you say? I told her I'm done cooking for 32 people. If she wants big gatherings, she can cook, hire help, or make it a potluck. His face paled. Clara, you can't just. She's your mom, I'm your wife. Which matters more? The kitchen went quiet, just the hum of the fridge and exhaust fan. That's not fair, he said. You're making me choose. No, Hudson. Life's making you choose. I'm just finally saying what I need. He sank into a chair, looking older than ever. I don't know how to do this. How to stand up to her. For the first time since Hawaii, I felt hope. Admitting he didn't know was better than refusing to try. Start by admitting what she asked was unfair, I said softly. Tell her you're sorry for letting me carry that load alone. If she gets mad, let her. Her feelings don't outweigh my well-being. He looked at me, really looked, trying to see what he'd missed for years. I'm scared, he whispered. Scared I'll lose my family if I change things. Scared I'll lose you if I don't. You might lose them, I said honestly. Some people can't handle boundaries. But Hudson, you've been losing me for years, every time you chose their comfort over my sanity. I sat across from him at the table where I'd planned endless solo feasts. I love you, I said. I've loved you since we met. But I can't stay invisible in my own marriage. I can't keep sacrificing myself so others don't have to pitch in. So what now? You decide what kind of husband you want to be, what kind of marriage we'll have. And if I choose wrong? I took his hand, the first time I'd reached for him since Hawaii. Then we'll know where we stand. A year later, I woke at 8:30 a.m., sunlight spilling through our bedroom window. From downstairs, I heard Hudson making coffee and the soft chatter of Carmen's family, who arrived last night. This Thanksgiving, we were hosting 8, Hudson's brother and wife, Carmen, her husband and kids, a lonely neighbor, and us. 8, not 32, a cozy gathering where everyone chipped in, no one person carrying it all. Vivian was at the Sanders Country Club, with a caterer ensuring perfection. She'd called our scaled-back plans disappointing, uninviting us from her grand events. It crushed Hudson at first, but over the year, he'd rediscovered me, the real me, not the servant version, and started to grasp what I'd been saying. The shift came in February when Vivian tried to make me cater a cousin's baby shower. I offered one dish, not the whole event. Hudson backed me, calling her to say I was his partner, not the family's event planner, and gatherings had to change. Vivian accused him of being whipped, threatened to cut contact, but he stood firm, choosing our marriage over her demands. Now, in jeans and a sweater, no need for fancy outfits, I heard laughter downstairs. Carmen's kids played with Hudson, my brother-in-law chopped vegetables with him. In the kitchen, Hudson looked up from peeling sweet potatoes and grinned, a real smile I hadn't seen in years. Morning, beautiful. Ready for our first real Thanksgiving? Our first real one, I said, kissing him. Carmen, teaching her daughter to make cranberry sauce, looked up. How's it feel to sleep in on Thanksgiving? Like a miracle, I said, grabbing coffee Hudson brewed. Like I'm a guest at my own holiday. The doorbell rang. Hudson opened it to Mrs. Suzanne, our neighbor, with a pumpkin pie and wine. Last year, she'd said watching someone drown isn't help. This year, she was here because everyone deserves a place on Thanksgiving. By 2 p.m., we sat around a simple, warm table. Everyone helped. Carmen's husband carved, Hudson made gravy he'd practiced, Dennis and his wife brought sides, the kids set the table. As we shared gratitudes, I thought of last year's me, drowning under expectations while others stood by. My turn came. I looked at people who saw me as me, not a service. I'm grateful for learning the difference between being needed and used, I said. For loving without losing myself. For finding who I am when I'm not trying to be perfect. Hudson squeezed my hand. I'm grateful my wife showed me how to be a better husband, he said. Even if it took her going to Hawaii to make me see. Laughter filled the room, and I felt something rare, total peace with where I was, who I was with. After dinner, we cleaned together, no one stuck with the burden. I stepped onto the porch for a quiet moment. My phone buzzed. I braced for Vivian's criticism, but it was Ruby, Hudson's uninvited cousin, with a photo of her Friendsgiving, laughing with strangers around a lively table. Her text read, "Thanks for showing me it's okay to choose joy over duty. Best Thanksgiving ever with people who want me here." I smiled, pocketing my phone. Some messages just needed to be felt, not answered. Hudson joined me, wrapping his arms around me. "Regrets?" he asked softly. I leaned into him, staring at the emerging stars. "About Hawaii? Never. About us? About this tough year?" I turned in Hudson's arms to meet his eyes. This year, for the first time in our marriage, I felt like I mattered. My voice was heard, my needs considered. It's been tough, but it's been honest. "I'm sorry it took me so long to get it," he said. "I'm sorry it took me so long to demand you did." We stood quietly, the sounds of our family cleaning up inside, normal people sharing normal responsibilities, filling the air. "What's the plan for next year?" Hudson asked. "Same group, same size, same boundaries," I said firmly. "That's non-negotiable." "Good," he said, kissing my forehead. "I like the woman who sets boundaries. She's so much better than the one who hid them." Walking back inside, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. The woman staring back was relaxed, confident, truly happy, not the people-pleaser I'd become, but the person I was before I shrank for others' comfort. I was proud of her. In the kitchen, Carmen loaded the last dishes while her kids played in the living room. Dennis and his wife packed leftovers to take home. Everyone pitched in, just like they had for the meal. "This was perfect," Carmen said, hugging me goodbye. "This is what Thanksgiving should be." "Intimate," Dennis's wife added. "Relaxing, not a show." After everyone left, Hudson and I collapsed on the couch, tired but content in a way I hadn't felt after a holiday in years. "I've got something for you," Hudson said, pulling something from his jacket. "It's not Christmas yet," I teased. "Not a Christmas gift. An apology and a promise." He handed me an envelope. Inside, a round-trip ticket to Hawaii for after Christmas. "For both of us," he said. "I want to see paradise through your eyes." I stared at the ticket, then at my husband, who'd spent a year learning to see me as a person, not a servant. "Hudson Foster's," I said, using his full name like when we were dating and life felt limitless, "you might just be a keeper." He laughed, pulling me close. "Clara Foster's, I'll spend my life making sure you're never invisible again." Outside, the first snow fell, blanketing our neighborhood in quiet white. But inside, our home glowed with warmth and possibility. I'd learned to choose myself without losing those who truly cared. I'd learned love doesn't demand self-sacrifice, but self-recognition. And I'd learned the most radical act is refusing to fade away.